module. So number 1 example, sinong gustong magbasa? Who wants to read our first example? Para hindi lang ako yung nagsasalita dito. Sinong gustong magbasa? Anyone? Or any representative from this class? Zoe, pakibasa yung first example natin.
Amor borrowed money amounting 5,000 pesos from her friend Alex and to be paid after 6 months. Alex offers 5% simple interest. How much Amor will pay after 6 months?
Okay, thank you. So we have here the first problem. For us to be able to solve this problem, we need to understand it first. We're going to comprehend yung problem natin. And as much as possible, para mas maintindihan natin, we can translate this in our local dialect para mas maintindihan natin. So we need to understand it first. So parang problema lang yan sa totoong buhay. Kailangan mo munang intindihin bago mo siya bigyan ng solusyon para maiwasan natin ang pagkakamali. So same with this one, kailangan natin ding intindihin ng mabuti yung given problem para ma-solve natin ng tama. So based on this problem, we are going to identify correctly yung mga given, and then we're going to identify, of course, yung tinatanong ng problem or yung unknown. So from this problem, what are the values we are going to have here? So ano nga ba yung nire-represent ng 5,000 pesos? And ano ang nire-represent ni 5%? And then ano ang nire-represent ng 6 months here? Okay, and ano yung nire-represent ng question na how much Amor will pay after 6 months? So we are given the clue word dito sa problem mismo para ma-identify natin correctly yung values na to, kung ano yung nire-represent ng mga values na to. Okay, so we have here the following given. So yung 5,000, so that is the amount borrowed, therefore that will be our principal amount or the letter P. Then the rate of interest, obviously yan yung may percentage na unit, which is 5%. And well, of course, we're going to write this one in its decimal form. So yung 5%, for us to be able to write this in its decimal form, just divide 5% by 100%. Para maisulat natin siya sa kanyang decimal form. And you can just move 2 decimal places from right to left. So dito sa 5, meron siyang decimal point after the number 5. Just move 2 decimal places and then lagyan natin ng 0 yung blank. So like for example, 5%, we are going to rewrite this as 0.05. So just move 2 decimal places. So from this point, mag-move tayo ng 2 decimal places to the left. And then that will be its decimal form there. So that will be 0.05. Or kung para mas maintindihan natin, you can just divide the percentage by 100%. So 5% divided by 100% or 5 divided by 100 is simply 0.05. So always express yung rate of interest in decimal form before natin gamitin sa pag-solve ng unknown. And then we also have here 6 months. So ano yung nire-represent ng 6 months? That is the length of time. And as I have said kanina or recently, 6 months or the length of time should be always expressed in year. So express natin yung 6 months in terms of year. So ano yung equivalent ng 6 months? Pag ang unit natin ay year. And to do that, you're just going to divide 6 months by 12 months. So meron tayong 12 months sa isang taon, just divide the given month by 6. So we have by 12 pala. So if here 6 months divided by 12 months or 6 divided by 12, and that will be 0.5 years. Magka-cancel yung unit na months. Kaya matitira lang ay 6/12. And then 6/12 or 6 divided by 12 is simply 0.5. So always remember na yung over, ang nire-represent na operation ng over natin ay division. Kaya tulad dito sa ating rate of interest, that is 5 divided by 100, which is 0.05. Dito naman sa length of time, that is 6 divided by 12, which is 0.5 year. Okay? And based on the question, we're going to understand this wherein the unknown will be the future value. Okay, so based on this given, we're going to learn or we're going to identify what formula to use. Ano ba yung gagamitin ng ting formula based dito sa given and unknown? So, ang unknown natin ay future value. So, therefore, we're going to use the formula for future value. If ever, if it is possible. Kasi sometimes, we need to solve first for a certain value before we can solve yung unknown. And then we're going to have the example of that later on. So we're going to have here the solution. So what is the formula for future value? That is F, which is equals to P multiplied to the quantity. So we're going to read yung parentheses as quantity whenever we have here a group or yung nag-group ng parentheses, that is 1 plus RT. So you're just going to copy here the constant number, which is 1. And then after identifying the correct formula or the formula to be used, we're just going to substitute the given. So ano ba yung mga given dito sa ating problem? Ano yung value ni P? Just change P to its given value. So we have here 5,000. So that will be P, and then just copy 1 plus what is the value of rate or rate of interest, that is 0.05, and then times. So always remember, pag wala kayong nakita, pag we have here two values or two symbols for two values, we're going to understand that as R times T. So parang parenthesis lang yan, P times the quantity 1 plus RT. So that is, or the operation between P and this one is multiplication, and then the operation between R and T here is multiplication. So that will be, so our rate here is 0.05 as we have here in the given, and then that length of time will be 0.5 year. So we're just going to substitute the given values sa ating formula. Okay, so we're going to read this as 5,000 times the quantity plus 0.05 times 0.5. And you can use calculating device to solve this one directly. Okay, so if you don't have any calculating device, you can manually solve it. So of course, always remember pag nagso-solve tayo manually, you're going to apply yung PM-DAS rule. Wherein mauna yung naka-parenthesis na iso-solve. Then pagkatapos ng parenthesis, meron tayong exponent. Whenever we have here exponent, yun yung unang isi-simplify natin. Always remember to apply PM-DAS rule kung iso-solve natin to manually. And then, ano ba yung next sa P? And then exponent, we are going to have here the multiplication, either multiplication or division. Then after yung MD, you are going to have the AS, which is either addition or subtraction. So, I hope na alam nyo kung paano gamitin yung PM-DAS rule. And kung may calculating device kayo like yung calculator ng cellphone or yung scientific calculator, you can use that to solve directly yung value ng ating F dito. Just input the following values sa ating calculating device. Okay, so if you're going to solve that, we are going to have here, okay, so 5,000 multiplied to 1 plus 0.05 times 0.5, which is equals to 5,125. Okay? So, well, of course, pag gagamit kayo ng scientific calculator or calculator ng cellphone, you need to input correctly. So, dapat tama yung pag-input natin sa calculator para ma-solve natin ng tama yung yung unknown. Kasi pag mali yung pag-input mo, mamamali din yung sagot. Okay, so same din dito, pag mali yung na-identify mong given, mamamali din yung final answer mo. So dapat tama yung in-identify mo na given, and then tama din dapat yung pag-calculate mo. Okay? Well, of course, to have our final answer, you need to have your conclusion to answer our problem here. So yung conclusion, dapat sinasagot niya yung question na how much Amor will pay after 6 months. Okay, so our calculation here will be, thus Amor will pay an amount of 5,125 pesos after 6 months. So yan yung future value ng kanyang hiniram na pera. So after 6 months, yung hiniram ng 5,000, kailangan niyang bayaran ulit or he will repay or pay it back with an additional payment of 125 pesos. So yung total amount na babayaran niya from the money na kanyang inutang is 5,125 pesos. Okay? So that is our first example. Do you have any clarifications or question dito sa ating first example before we proceed with the second one?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, paano po nakuha yung 100% tapos 12 months?
Okay. So dito sa rate of interest, thank you for that question. Dito sa rate of interest, it is already given na pag nire-rewrite natin yung percentage sa decimal, always divide it by 100%. Parang constant na yung 100% is already given. So hindi yan magbabago. Always 100%. Same lang din dito sa length of time. Always 12 months. Always divided by 12 months. Hindi na yan magbabago, hindi na yan mapapalitan. Parang constant na siya. So pag i-convert mo yung months into years, just divide it by 12 months para ma-determine natin correctly yung uh, equivalent ng 6 months into years. Same with dito, ano yung decimal form ng 5%? Always divide it by 100%. So hindi na yan magbabago yung values na yan. So parang given na yan. Okay? Okay na ba, Miss Charlene?
Yes, sir. Thank you po, sir.
Okay. How about the others? Do you have any clarification? If you have any clarification, just put dun sa comment section natin. Then we're going to try to answer later on. Okay? So let's have here the second example. Saan na yan? Okay. Okay, so sinong gustong magbasa? Who wants to read our second example? Let's have Hazel. Pakibasa nga yung second example natin.
Louis borrowed an amount of 200,000 pesos at 3.75% from LOVE Lending Corporation. The loan is payable after 1 year and 3 months. Find the interest and the amount to be repaid on the due date.
Okay, thank you. Okay, again, you need to understand first the problem before going to proceed with the solution. So we have here Louis borrowed an amount of 200,000 pesos. So yung pinaghiraman niya na lending corporation, the offer an interest rate of 3.75%. And then yung utang niya is kailangan niyang bayaran at the end of 1 year and 3 months. Okay, ngayon, ang tanong is magkano yung interest or yung additional payment na kanyang babayaran, and then ano yung magiging total amount ng kanyang binayaran or ibabalik na pera sa kanyang pinanghiraman na lending corporation. So, kailangan nating intindihin yung problem before we can proceed with the solution or identifying the given and the unknown. Okay, so what will be our given here? We have here the 200,000. What is being represented by the 200,000 amount? We have 200, or that is the principal amount or symbolized by capital letter P. And then the rate of interest, it's always be the number or the value with the unit percent. So that will be 3.75%. Or you're going to rewrite this to its decimal form. So that will be 3.75% divided by 100%. So always remember to rewrite a certain percentage to its decimal form, just divide it by 100%. So given na yan. And the answer for that is 0.0375, or just move 2 decimal places kung ayaw nyo nagdi-divide. So from the point here, dito sa gitna ng 3 and 7, just move 2 decimal places towards the left. So 1, 2, then that will be 0.0375. So that will be the rate of interest. And then yung gagamitin nating value sa pag-solve ng interest is yung decimal form. And then we have here the time given. We have here 1 year and 3 months. Okay, so sabi natin kanina na always express yung time in years. So, meron tayong 1 year dito and 3 months. I-convert natin yung 3 months into years. Okay? So, just divide 3 months by 12. Ayan. So, 1 year plus 3 months divided by 12 months. So, 3 months divided by 12 months, that is, so just copy 1 here, 1 year plus how many? We're going to have here 3 divided by 12, that is 0.25. So just add that one, that will be 1 plus 0.25 will be 1.25 years. So ang equivalent ng 1 and 3 months in years, or yung 3 months in years, is 0.25 years. Then we are just going to add that to the given 1 year. So that will be 1.25 years. Okay, so that will be length of time. And then based on this last statement here, we are going to find the interest and then the future value. So dalawang ano natin dito, we have the interest and then the future value. Okay? And then we're just going to identify the formula to be able, for us to be able to solve yung interest and future value. So ano ang formula natin sa interest? Pag simple ang pinag-uusapan, we have here I which is equals to PRT. Okay? So we have here principal amount times rate of time times rate of interest times length of time. So the operation we're going to use here is multiplication. So P times R times T. Then we're just going to substitute. Ano ang value ni P? That is 200,000 times ano yung value ng rate of interest? That is 0.0375 times 1.25. And then you can just solve this manually pag wala kayong calculating device. But pag meron, para mas mabilis, you can just use here a calculating device or scientific calculator. So our interest will be 200,000 times 0.0375 times 1.25. And that is equals to 9375 or 9,375. So that is the interest or the additional payment to be paid by Mr. Louis to the lending corporation. And to ask for us and for us to solve the future value, we know that the future value or the total to be paid or the total amount to be paid is just the sum of the amount borrowed and then the additional payment. So that will be future value will be equals to P plus I. So just add those two values. So what is the value for P? That is 200,000 plus the additional payment or the interest, which is 9,375 with a total of 209,375. And well, of course, always remember that for a certain problem solving, you always have your conclusion. So our conclusion will be, thus the interest will be 9,375 pesos, and then the amount to be repaid at the due date is 209,000 pesos, 375. So that is how we are going to solve our second example here. Okay? So that is our second example. May katanungan ba or clarification before we proceed with the third example?
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. So pag wala, let's proceed with the third example para mas maintindihan natin yung mga problems related to simple interest. Okay? So we have here number 3, how much borrowed if the interest at 2% after 6 months is 400. So magkano daw yung hiniram kung yung interest is yung interest niya is 2% and then the length of time is 6 months and then the interest amount is or the additional payment is 400 pesos. So we need to understand the given question or problem here before we are going to proceed with the solving. Okay, so we're just going to identify the given here. So if you're going to observe, walang naibigay na type of interest. Ang sinaba lang dito is interest. Hindi niya sinabing simple interest or compound interest. So sometimes, pag walang na-identify na type of interest, it is understood to be simple. Okay? Next, we're going to identify the given. So we are given that the amount of interest is 400 pesos. Then the rate of interest is 2%. or in decimal form, that is 2% divided by 100%, which is equals to 0.02. And then the length of time will be 6 months. And then we're going to express this in year. So always remember na yung length of time, dapat yung unit niya is year. Kaya pag 6 months or month yung naka-unit or yung unit ng length of time, then we're going to uh, convert or find its equivalent in year. And to do that, we are just going to divide the given month or numbers of month by 12 months. So 6 divided by 12, that is 0.5 year. And then based on the problem, ang hinahanap natin is yung amount borrowed. So that will be the principal amount. And what is the formula for principal amount? Since given na yung interest, we're just going to use the formula P, which is equals to I over rate over times time. Then just substitute the given dito sa ating formula. So what is the value of I? That is 400 over the value of rate will be, or the rate of interest is 0.02 times 0.5. Then we're just going to use here calculating device to solve. Or you can just manually solve kung kaya nyong i-manual. So that is 400 over 0.02 times 0.5. And that is equals to 40,000. So the amount borrowed is 40,000 pesos. Okay. Then we're just going to have here our conclusion to finally answer the given problem. So that will be thus the amount borrowed is 40,000 pesos. Okay. So we have here the third problem. Next, we're going to proceed with the fourth one. Okay, pakibasa nga Miss Shanaya. Pakibasa yung fourth problem natin. Okay, how about Miss Marian? Pakibasa yung fourth problem natin for simple interest.
At what rate should 7,500 pesos be invested to have a final amount of 8,000 months?
Okay, thank you. So from this problem, we can understand for in the unknown is the rate of interest. Okay. So we have here the given principal amount, which is 7,500, and then final amount, that is the future value, which is 8,000 pesos, and then the length of time is 8 months. Therefore, we have here the what rate, that is the unknown, the rate of interest. Okay. So we're going to identify the given here, what is being represented by the 7,500, and then the 8,000, same with the 8 months. And our given will be 7,500, that is the principal amount, and the 8,000, that is the future value, and then the length of time, which is 8 months. Okay, let's convert this into years. So we have here 8 months, that is, just divide it by 12, that is 8 months divided by 12. And we cannot simplify this to its decimal form. So, pag yung na-arrive mong value dito sa pag-divide is maraming decimal places, therefore, you're going to use the fraction form na lang. So, 8 divided by 12, that is, magkano to? 0.6666 ata. So, you can just, since maraming decimal places yan, just use the decimal form, the fraction form. Pero pag ilan lang yung decimal places, then you're going to use the decimal form. Okay? So this is 0. Yung decimal form nito is 0.6666 continuous na 6. So you're going to use the fraction form na lang instead of the decimal form. Kasi pag gagamitin natin yung decimal form tapos nag-round tayo ng values o ng decimal places, yung pag-round natin ng decimal places, it will lead to inaccurate or not accurate final answer. So mas maigi na para mas makuha natin yung accurate or tamang sagot, you're going to avoid rounding off decimal places dun sa solution natin. So, ang time natin will be, or length of time will be 8 over 12 year. And then the unknown here is the rate of interest. And based on this given, hindi natin ma-solve directly yung rate of interest using the derived formula for the rate of interest. But you can you can have here a different solution aside from the solution we are going to have here, as long as you're going to arrive with the correct answer. Okay, so we're going to have here the solution wherein we're going to identify first the interest. So magkano yung additional payment or additional doon sa kanyang in-invest na 7,500. So yung 7,500 niya, nag-grow yan to 8,000. So lumaki yung in-invest niya to 8,000. So malaki yung, magkano yung nilaki nung kanyang in-invest, that is, just subtract 8,000 by 7,500 and then that is 500 pesos. So that is the interest. And to finally solve for the rate of interest, we're going to use the derived formula, which is R is equals to I over PT. So just substitute the given values. So ano bang interest natin? That is what we have solved here. That is 500 over the principal amount. That is 7,500 times the length of time, which is 8 over 12. So yung mga formula na ginagamit natin dito is nabigay na natin dun sa previous slide. So yung mga formulas na binigay natin kanina. So ito yung mga derived formulas. And to finally solve for the rate of interest, that will be, you just use here a calculating device para mas mabilis. That is 500 over 7,500 times 8 over 12. And which is equals to 1 over 10, or that is, okay, so pag ang lalabas na sagot sa calculator is in fraction form, just press SD, ito, yung button na to. Then, may convert siya sa decimal form. So yung 1 over 10, that is in decimal form, that is 0.1, or 0.1 times 100 is 100%. So the rate of interest is 10%. Okay, so pag i-convert naman natin pala yung decimal sa kanyang percentage form, just multiply 100. So 0.1 times 100 is 10%. Okay, and to finally answer the problem we have here, just have here the conclusion, that is thus the rate of interest is 10%. Okay, that is our problem number 4. Okay, before we proceed with the last example, may katanungan ba tayo or question? Hello? Magdagdag tayo ba or?
None, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So hopefully yung ilan na tayo dito? We have 20 plus. So hopefully you're actively listening. Yung 20 plus na attendance niya. Okay, let's proceed with the last example. Okay, so we have here. Okay, Miss Payong, pakibasa yung last example natin.
How many years will it take for 6,000 pesos to grow until 7,900 pesos if it invested at 9% simple interest?
Okay, thank you. So we have here. Okay, so based on this given problem, ang unknown natin is yung length of time. Kasi yung question dito is how many years. Okay? And then yung given natin is yung amount na in-invest niya is 6,000 pesos. Tapos lumaki yung in-invest niya. So yung nagiging kita niya is, so we're going to identify that one later on. Yung pera niya in-invest na 6,000, lumaki ng 7,900. So how many years will it take yung 6,000 niya na in-invest to grow to 7,900 if yung rate of interest is 9%. Okay. If you're going to observe here, dun sa mga previous examples natin and then dito sa last example, it is identified that the rate of interest is simple. So that is 9% simple interest except for the one example we have. Okay, and to answer this one, we're going to identify the given. We have what is the principal amount or what is being represented by the amount 6,000 pesos. That is the amount invested, therefore that will be our principal amount. And then it grows to 7,900, that will be our future value. And then the rate of interest, that is 9%, or in decimal form, just divide 9% by 100. And then that will be 0.09. And then the unknown here is the length of time. And then we're going to use the correct formula. Okay, you can also have here a different solution aside from the solution we're going to have here. And to solve for the length of time, we can just solve first for the interest or yung dinagdag ng kanyang pera after how many unknown years. Okay, so that is just subtract the future value by the principal amount. So that is 7,900 minus 6,000, that is 1,900. So yan yung nilaki ng kanyang pera na ininvest sa interest na 9%. Okay, and then finally we can use the derived formula, which is which is equals to 1 over PR, or interest over principal amount times rate of time. So after identifying the formula to be used, just substitute the given. So what is the value of interest? That is 1,900. Then what is the value of the principal amount? That is 6,000 pesos. And then what is the value of the rate of interest? That is, we have here 0.09. Then after substituting, so dapat tama yung pag-substitute natin para makuha natin yung tamang sagot. Then you can just have your calculator. That will be 1,900 over or divided by 6,000 times 0.09. And that is equals to 95 over 75. And then, pag yung lumabas na sagot natin is fraction, just press SD. Then, may convert siya sa decimal form. So, that is, the length of time is 3.52. So, we can just express our answers or our final answers, a final answer lang to, into decimal places. So, yung 3.58, 518, we can have here 3.52 instead of 3. That is continuous. And then our length of time will be, just take this value as our length of time, or that will be length of time in years, of course, in years. That is, thus, it will take about 3.52 years. And if you want to convert this into more accurate value, you can have here, that is 3 years. 3.52 years is equivalent to approximately, so this is approximation only, 3 years and 6 months. For the 6,000 pesos to grow to 7,900 if the invested amount 6,000 is invested at the rate of 9% simple interest. Okay, so that will be our last example for simple interest. Okay, so before we proceed with the compound interest, may clarification ba tayo or question?
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let's proceed naman dito sa compound interest. So hopefully naintindihan natin ang simple interest. Okay. Proceed naman tayo sa compound interest. So para mas maintindihan natin yung compound interest, magkaroon muna tayo dito ng scenario. So we have here friends, magbarkada, or it depends. So we have here Jack and Rose, meron silang tigpa 5,000. So si Jack meron siyang 5,000, si Rose meron din siyang 5,000. And then meron silang given option. So yung si Mr. Jack, yung 5,000 niya, ininvest niya sa isang co-op, kung saan yung co-op na yun nag-o-offer ng 3% compounded annually. Okay? So ibig sabihin ng 3% compounded annually, yung pera niya, it grows. So yung annually, that is every year. So annually, Always remember, pag annual yan, that is every year. So, ibig sabihin yung pera niya na 5,000, it grows at the rate of 3% every year. So, on the other hand naman, si Rose, ininvest niya yung 5,000 niya sa Coop, wherein nag-offer siya ng 3% simple interest. So, yung offer naman ng bangko is simple interest. On the other hand, kay Mr. Jack, ang offer sa kanya is 3% compounded annually. So, the question here is, how much each of them will receive after or at the end of 5 years? So, magkano ang pera na ni Mr. Jack after 5 years dun sa kanyang pinag-invest? So, magkano naman ang magiging pera ni Miss Rose sa co-op na kanyang nag-investan. So, magkaiba lang yung co-op na pinag-investan nilang dalawa. Okay? And to solve that, so we are going to compute first yung magiging pera ni Miss Rose or ni Rose sa co-op after 5 years. And then, of course, that is simple interest. Therefore, we are going to use the simple interest formula. So, ang unknown dyan is future value. We are going to apply the formula for future value, which is F is equal to P times the quantity 1 plus RT. Okay, so yung principal amount, that is the 5,000 pesos, yung amount na kanilang invest, plus 1 plus yung rate of interest, that is 3%, or in decimal, that is 0.03. Okay, times 5 years. Yun yung length of time. And then if you're going to calculate that one, the amount will be 5,750 pesos. So if you are going to observe yung amount na makukuha ni Rose after 5 years sa co-op na kanyang pinag-invest is will be 5,750 pesos. Okay. So ngayon we're going to proceed naman. How about Mr. Jack? Paano ba yung calculation ng kanyang pera after 5 years? And that is, we are going to have it here. So ibig sabihin, so since sabi dito yung 3% compounded annually, we're going to determine kung magkano ang pera niya at or in every year. Since ang sabi dito is 3% compounded annually. And to determine that, if how much money you will be having every year, we're going to have here the long solving. So we have here year, that is year 1, year 2, year 3, year 5 hanggang sa 5th year kasi yun yung end ng kanilang investment. And then to solve for the future value every year, we're going to use the formula in solving simple interest of or simple and future value of a simple interest. So we have here F, which is equals to P times 1 plus RT. So dito sa year 1, ang kanya magiging pera will be, we're just going to substitute. So future value is which is equals to 5,000 times the quantity 1 plus, so yung 5,000 yun yung amount na in-invest, plus yung rate of interest, that is 3% or 0.03 times 1 year. So that is, yung length of time naman dito is 1 year. That is the difference nung year 1 from yung time na kanyang in-invest yung 5,000, which is 1 year yung distance or yung length of time. Okay? And then if you're going to solve that, after 1 year, his money will be 5,150. If you're going to solve this one, that will be equal to 5,150. And in the next year, to solve the amount you will be having in the year 2 or after the next year, that will be, yung magiging principal amount natin dito is mapapalitan. Yung magiging principal amount natin, that is the amount in the future value in year 1. So ano ba yung future value in year 1? That is 5,150. Yun yung magiging new principal amount natin. Kaya if you're going to observe yung interest dito sa year 2, it will depends kung magkano yung interest or nilaki yung pera niya doon sa year 1. So that is interest gaining on another interest. And after year 2, ang maging pera niya is 5,304.5 pesos. So same yung value ng rate of interest and then the length of time. Okay? So same din dito sa year 3. magkakaroon siya ng bagong principal amount. Yung maging principal amount niya is yung future value dito sa year 2, which is 5,304 pesos or 0.5 pesos. So that is yung kanyang principal amount sa year 3. And if you're going to solve the future value in year 3, that will be 5,463.635 pesos. So same din sa year 4, yung kanyang maging principal amount, yung future value ng year 3. Then finally din dito sa year 5, ang kanyang magiging principal amount will be the future value in year 4. So that is, so in year 5 or at the end of year 5 years, ang makukuha ni Mr. Jack will be 5,796.37 pesos. Okay, so that will be the money that will be received by Mr. Jack after 5 years. So that is the process on how is compound interest is computed. So that will depends. Yung period kasi dito is every year, kasi ang binigay dito is annually. So it could be monthly, pwede rin yang every 6 months, or semi-annually, or quarterly. So depends kung what type of compounding interest is used, or yung compounding period. So let me ask you, if you are going to have here the scenario, which will you prefer type of investment? Is it the 3% compounded annually or 3% simple interest? Ano yung mas prefer ninyo? Yung kay Rose or Jack? Miss Lee, medyo not working yung mic natin. Okay. So, anong mas prefer niyo? Yung kay Jack
Kay
or
Jack,
kay
sir.
Miss Rose? Okay.
Miss
Sir, yung kay Jack.
Tama kayo. So, pag you're given here similar scenario or similar, kung pinagpili kayo kung anong mas prefer nyo, yung 3% or 3% compounded annually or 3% simple interest, well, of course, you're going to choose yung 3% compounded annually kasi mas malaki yung i-grow ng pera nyo if you're going to have your two options for investment. Pag magkaparehas lang yung or similar yung scenario, kasi it depends naman sa scenario. Ayan. So, mas malaki ang makukuha nyo kay compounded or compound pag yung interest is compounded compared sa simple interest. Ayan. Pag parehas yung rate of interest, pag magkaiba naman, then iba yung calculation naman dyan. So, it is better pag mag-invest kayo, alam nyo kung paano i-calculate yung how will your money grow at the specific time. Ayan. Okay, so let's talk more about compound interest. So we have here the formula for, so hindi pa rin nagbabago ang formula natin sa interest. We have here the difference of future value and principal amount. Okay. And well, of course, sa simple interest, you can solve directly yung interest. Compared dito sa ating compound interest, yung future value, kailangan nating isolve muna bago natin ma-solve yung value ng interest. Kaya walang given formula directly na magsosolve sa interest pag compound. Kaya we have here the formula for solving future value ng compound interest. We have F, which is equals to P multiplied to 1 plus I raised to N. So yung 1 dito is always constant yan. Just copy that one. And then you're going to determine the values of P, I, and N. So magkakaroon tayo na ng bagong symbols. Dito we have I and N. So what are being represented by I and N? So wala tayong I and N din doon sa simple interest. Pero dito sa compound interest, magkakaroon tayo ng bagong symbol for values. Okay, and to understand the I and N, we're going to have here. Okay, by the way, we are going to have here the derived formula also for principal amount. So it will depend on the given problem kung ano yung ipapadetermine natin. Ang kailangan natin i-determine. So if we are asked to determine the principal amount, you can use this formula, which is F multiplied to 1 plus I raised to negative N naman. Okay. So that is the formula for principal value. Okay. And then we are going to have here, ano bang ibig sabihin ulit ng I? That is, always capital letter I yan. That is the interest. So magkaiba ang value ng small letter I sa capital letter I. O magkaiba yung sinisimbolize nilang dalawa. So pag capital letter I, that is interest. And same din lang yung F, that is future value or sometimes called maturity value. Okay, and then P, that is the principal amount. And then what is meant by the interest rate or the I, that is the rate of interest per conversion period. So how do we determine the rate of interest per conversion period? We're just going to observe the formula. So how do we solve for the value of I? That is the quotient of rate of interest annually over conversion period. So yung R and M, we can determine this in a given problem. And then you are just going to solve for the value of I. So sometimes yung value ng I, hindi yan given directly. Ang binigay is yung value ng R and M. So you're just going to solve for I first before we can use it to the formula. So what is the term for, or what is the value of R? That is the rate of interest. So given na yan sa problem, same lang din yung re-represent niyan doon sa simple interest. Kung ano yung R sa simple interest, same lang din dito sa ating compound interest. That is the rate of interest. And then yung M, that is frequency of conversion period in a year. So that is the conversion period. So napansin nyo dito doon sa previous example natin kanina, compounded annually, yung conversion period doon is yung annually. Okay? So ang purpose ng formula dito is we can solve directly yung future value instead of using the long solving na ginawa natin kanina doon sa previous example. So para ma-solve natin directly yung future value, you can use this formula. But of course, you are going to determine first yung I and N. Okay? And dito sa M, frequency of conversion period depends dun sa given problem. Pag sinabi niyang compounded annually, ang magiging value ng M will be 1. Pag compounded semi-annually, ang magiging value ni M is 2. And pag compounded quarterly, ang magiging value ni M is 4. And pag sinabing compounded monthly, ang magiging value ng M is 12. So, saan nanggaling yung 1, 2, 4, and 12? So, annually, that is every year. So, ibig sabihin, pag 1 year, may 12 months yan. Just divide 12 months by 12, then that will be 1. Same lang dito sa semi-annually, that is every 6 months. Pag semi-annually, that is every 6 months. And 6 months or 12 months divided by 6 is 2. Pag quarterly naman, that is every 3 months. So always remember, pag quarterly, every 3 months, and that is not every 4 months. So how many 3 months are there in a year? There is 4 quarter in a year. So there is also 2 semi-annual in a year. Dito sa monthly, how many years are there in a year? There are how many months are there in a year? There is 12 months. Okay, so these are the values of M. It depends on the compounding conversion period or interest conversion period. So pag annually, value of M 1 hanggang sa monthly, that will be 12. Okay, so that is how we solve for the value of I. Okay, dito naman sa N, how do you solve for the N? That is represented by total conversion periods. Kung ilang ulit na mako-convert yung ating interest. So that is, the formula for that will be N, which is equals to M times T. So, yung M na gagamitin natin dito sa pag-solve ng I, same lang din yung M na gagamitin natin dito sa pag-solve ng N. So, kung ang M niya ay 2, then well, of course, we're going to use 2. Pag compounded monthly, yung maging M is 12. Okay? Then the length of time, that is 40. So, always remember that yung length of time that is already given, then it should be expressed in years before we're going to use for solving the value of N. And after we have identified the value of N and I, we can use it in solving the value of future value or the present value. Okay, and to solve finally for the value of compound interest, then of course, we're just going to subtract the value of future value and principal amount. Okay, so we don't have here a direct formula wherein we are going to solve directly yung value ng compound interest. Okay? Do you have any questions or clarifications before we proceed with the examples?
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let's proceed with the examples para mas maintindihan natin ang compound interest. Okay, so pakibasa yung first example natin, Mr. Ken.
How much interest will 70,000 pesos earn for 1.5 years if invested at 8% compound semi-annually?
Okay, compounded semi-annual. Thank you. So we have here, always remember that we need to understand first yung problem before we can proceed with the solving part. So, ano ba yung nire-represent ng values na 70,000 pesos, and then 1.5, and then 8%? And of course, obvious naman kung ano yung nire-represent nilang terms. Okay, next step, we're going to have here the given. So, ang tanong dito is how much interest. So, yun yung maging unknown natin. And well, of course, we cannot directly solve for the interest. We need to identify first the future value. Okay, so, kasi hindi pa given yung future value dito sa ating given problem. Okay, so what will be the 70,000 pesos? That is our principal amount. And then, to solve for our I, so for compound interest, para mag-implement natin yung formula, kailangan natin i-determine yung value ng I and N. And to solve for the value of I, always remember that the I is the quotient of rate of interest and then the conversion period. And based on this given problem, the rate of interest is 8%. And well, of course, we need to convert that into its decimal form. So R is 8%, or in decimal form, that is 0.08. Just divide 8% by 100%. Or just move two decimal places towards the left. And then our rate of interest will be 0.08. And then the conversion period will be, or the value of M will be 2. Kasi sabi dito that is compounded semi-annually. And for semi-annually, the value of M will be 2. So semi-annually, that is every 6 months. Ilan ba ang 6 months na meron sa isang taon? That is, there are 2 6 months. Yan. So ang value ng M natin is 2. And then we're just going to substitute yung value na yung R and M sa formula ng I. That is 0.08 divided by 2, which is equals to 0.04. So ang value ng I natin ngayon is 0.04. And then, so we have already solved the value of I. Now we are going to proceed with the solving the value of N. And for N, that is, the formula for N, that is M times T, which is equals to, ano yung M na ginamit natin sa pag-solve ng I? That is 2. So M, the value of M is 2. And then the value of length, or the length of time, that will be already given in the problem, that is 1.5 years. Then therefore, the length of time will be 1.5 years. That is the value of, or the length of time we're going to use for the, or for solving the value of N. That is 2 times 1.5, which is equals to 3. Okay? Okay. And then dito pala pag-solve ng I and sa I, gaya ng sabi natin kanina, pag maraming decimal places and kailangan nating mag-round ng decimal values, then we are going to use the fraction form. Since 0.08 over 2 is equal to 0.04, walang maraming decimal places, dalawang decimal places lang yan, then we can use the decimal form. Okay? Yes, Miss Adelpha. Okay, so we already identified the I and N based on the given. Now we can proceed solving the value of the F, or future value. Using the formula F, which is equals to P. This is the formula we have recently dun sa previous slide natin. Prior this slide, that is F, which is equals to P multiplied to the quantity 1 plus I raised to N. Okay, and then next, we're just going to substitute the given or the values we already identified to the formula. And that is, what is the value of P? We have here 70,000 pesos, and then 1 is that is already constant, plus what is the value of I? We have here 0.04. Then what is the value of N? That is 3. We have here. Okay. And then we can just calculator here to solve for the value of F. That is 70,000 times 1 plus 0.04 raised to 3. Okay. And then just that is equals to 0.48 pesos. Okay. So yung pera na na-invest sa 70 na-invest, which is 70,000 pesos, it will grow to 78,740.48 at after 1.5 years. So lumaki siya ng 8,740.48 pesos. So that is the future value. Now we can solve already for the unknown, which is interest. Okay. And we know the formula for interest is the difference of future value and present value. That is I, which is equals to F minus P, or 78,740.48 minus 70,000, which is all equal to 8,740.48. And to finally answer our problem, we are going to appear our conclusion, which is the conclusion should answer our question. And then thus, that is 8,740.48 will be the interest to be earned from this type of problem. Okay? Yung conclusion natin dito, magkakaiba yan, depends on how you are going to state. Basta yung conclusion natin, it answers the problem. It is not necessary na magkakaparehas yung conclusion natin dito, as long as it will answer the given problem. So it will depends kung paano mo i-state yung conclusion mo. Basta tama yung idea niya. Ayan. So we have here the first example for compound interest. Okay, before we proceed with the next example, do you have any clarification or question? May katanungan ba tayo?
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. Si Miss Lid Ayan, non-functioning yung microphone natin. Ayan. Hindi nagpa-function yung mic mo.
Okay ba, sir?
Okay depende. Ag okay no damdamakaan. Okay, so pag walang question, let's proceed with the second example. Okay. So we have here the second example. So, sinong gustong magbasa? Okay, let's have Jerwin. Mr. Jerwin, can you read the second example?
So, find the compound amount of 3 years and 3 months if the principal is 0.3 million pesos and the rate is 5% compound annually.
Okay, thank you. So that is compounded annually. It's not compound. Okay. Thank you for reading. So we are going to have here the second example. And of course, we need to identify first, or we need to understand and comprehend the given problem. Kasi pag hindi natin naintindihan yung problem, well, of course, mamamali yung pag-solve natin. We are going to identify the given incorrectly, and then, well, of course, pag mali yung mga given natin, mamamali din yung solution natin, and then it follows na mali din yung final answer and conclusion natin. Okay? So from this given problem, we're going to find the compounded amount. So that is another term for future value, compounded amount. That is how we term pag compound interest. That is future value. And then the length of time natin dito. So what will be our given? We have here the given. So it is already stated na yung 1.5 million na is our principal. And 1.5 million, that is the same as 1,500,000 pesos. Then I, kailan natin isolve pa yan based on the given. Ano yung rate of interest natin? That is 0.05 or 5%. And then we have here, I do hope na alam nyo na kung paano i-convert ang percentage sa decimal form para you can proceed directly in solving I. And then the value of M, sabi dito, compounded annually, that is every year. So there is 12 months in a year. So the value of M will be 1. And 0.5 divided by 1, that is simply 0.05. So that will be the value of our I. And then for the N naman, M is still 1. So kung ano yung M natin sa pag-solve ng I, that is our M also, and solving the value of N. And then ang i-determine lang natin is yung length of time. And always remember, wag natin kakalimutan na yung length of time that is expressed in years dapat. Kaya yung 3 years and 3 months, we need to convert that in years. Given na yung 3 years, yung 3 months na lang i-convert natin, yung additional 3 months. Kaya yung 3 months, just divide it by 12. So given na yung 12 dyan, kaya 3 divided by 12, that is 0.25 year. And then we're just going to add it to 3 years. Kaya ang length of time natin is 3.25. Then we're just going to substitute dito sa formula ng pag-solve ng N. And that will be 1 times 3.25, which is still the same as 3.25. Okay? Okay, so that will be our N. And then the unknown here is compounded amount, that is the same as the future value. Okay? Then we can use here the formula F, which is equals to P multiplied to 1 plus I raised to N. Okay? That is the formula for F. Then just substitute the given. Ano ang value ni P? That is 1,500,000 plus 1 plus that value of I, which is 0.05, raised to the value of N, which is 3.25. And then you can use here the calculator to solve. That is 1,500,000 multiplied to 1 plus 0.05 raised to 3.25 equals 1,747,747.47. So yan na yung nilakin ang kanyang pera after 3 years and 3 months. So yung 1.5 million niya nagiging around 1.7 million. So that will be the compounded amount. And to finally answer the problem, we're going to observe the conclusion. Okay, so that will be our second example. Okay, do you have any clarifications or questions? Okay, so pag wala, let's proceed with the
None,
third
sir.
example. Okay, thank you. Let's proceed with the third example. Okay, pakibasa nga, Miss Rose, Mitzi Rose. Pakibasa yung third example natin. Okay, let's have Miss Joanna Lu.
Number 3, is to have 40,000 in his account by the end of 3 years. How much should he invest in paying 8.5% interest compounded semi-annually, sir?
Okay, thank you. So we have here the third example. Thank you for reading. So we need to understand again here, and then we're going to identify the given. So Mr. Klee wants to have 40,000. So gusto niya magkaroon ng 40,000. And kaya mas maganda pag we have here an English written problem, mas maganda kung ita-translate natin to our mother tongue para mas maintindihan natin yung problem. Okay. So we have here, gustong magkaroon ni Mr. Klee ng 40,000 pesos at the end of 3 years. So ang tanong is magkano ang kanyang dapat i-invest ngayon? Kung yung bangko is nag-offer ng 8.5 interest compounded semi-annually. Okay? So what will be our given, or what will be the given here? We are going to have, okay, so 40,000, that will be our future value kasi niya yung gustong makuha ni strictly after 3 years. Okay, that will be our future value. And then the interest will be, or the value of I will be R over M, what is 8.5 in decimal, that is 0.05085. So that will be our R. And then M, that is semi-annually, that is every 6 months. So that will be M, 2. Then to solve finally for our I, that is 0.085 divided by 2, which is equals to 0.042. Okay. And then that will be our I. Now we are going to solve for the N. So M is 2, still 2 yan. And then yung length of time, sabi dito, 3 years. So therefore, that is 3. And then 2 times 3 is equals to 6. And then the unknown here is the principal amount or present value. Then we're just going to use the formula in solving the principal amount, which is P which is equals to F multiplied to the quantity 1 plus I raised to negative n. And after identifying the formula to be used, we're just going to substitute the given towards the formula. So what is the value of F? That is 40,000 multiplied to 1 plus what is the value of I? We have here 0.0425. And then that is, then the value of n, that is raised to negative 6. So don't forget the negative sign here. Okay. Okay, and then we're just going to use calculator to solve for the value of P. We have here 40,000 multiplied to 1 plus 0.0425 raised to negative 6, which equals to 31,160.44. So we're going to write our answer out two decimal places. So i-round natin yan. So I hope na alam nyo kung paano mag-round ng decimal places. Kung kailan tayo mag-i-increase ng 1 or kung kailan tayo na mag-steady. Okay, so the value of P, or the amount that should be invested by Mr. Klee to have 40,000 will be 31,160.44 pesos. Okay. So kung ayaw nyong gumamit, pag wala kayong calculator, you can use, or you can manually solve as long as you're going to arrive with the correct answer. Okay, so that is for example number 3. Okay. Let's proceed with number 4. Okay. So who wants to read number 4? Sinong gusto sa magbasa? Let's have okay, let's have Miss Padako. Miss Kisha, can you read the fourth example?
Ako po, sir.
Okay, go, Miss Charlene.
Then the compounded amount of 2,000 pesos for 3 years at 70% interest rate, compounded monthly.
Okay, thank you. That is 7%. Okay, so we have here, so what will be our given here? Okay, our given will be, we have here. So ang hanapin natin again is compounded amount, that is same as the future value. And then the present value will be 2,000 pesos. And then I will be 0.7 over 12. We have here, the rate of interest is 7%, or in decimal, that is 0.07. And then it is compounded monthly. Therefore, ang value ng M pag monthly is 12, because there are 12 months in a year. Okay. And then just divide the two values. And we're going to have here 0.7 over 12. So if you're going to observe, we're going to use the decimal form. ng value ng I, since if you're going to divide this one, and you're going to use the decimal for maraming decimal places. And we need to round it off kung gagamitin natin yung decimal places. So it's better na gamitin natin yung fraction form pag maraming decimal places to avoid uh, inaccurate answer. Kasi pag nagra-round tayo, mas magiging hindi accurate yung answer natin. So the value of I will be 0.7 over 12. Okay? And then the value of n, that will be 12 times 3, that is 3 years, we have here, times the value of m, which is 12, that is monthly. So 12 times 3 is equals to 36. And the unknown here is future value. So magkano yung magiging pera at the end of 3 years? Kung uninvest natin is 2,000. Okay. And well, of course, we're just going to use the formula in solving the future value. We have here the given formula, which is f is equals to p multiplied to 1 plus I raised to n. And then just substitute. So we have here p is 2,000 pesos multiplied to 1 plus 0.07 over 12. That is the value of I raised to the value of n, which is 36. And then just use calculator to solve para mas mabilis and mas accurate. Okay, we have here 2,000 multiplied to 1 plus 0.07 over 12 multiplied to 30, raised to 36. That is equals to 2,465.82. Okay, so that will be the future value or the value of 2,000 at the end of 3 years. It will be 2,465.82 pesos. And then that will be our conclusion. Okay, so that will be our fourth example. Okay. Okay. So yun pala yung last example natin. So this will be our last example for compound interest. Okay, so let's proceed with the question and answer part. So meron ba tayong katanungan or clarification dito sa ating discussions para i-clarify natin? Hello?
None, sir.
Do we have clarifications? Okay, none?
None,
How about
sir.
the others? Okay, thank you. So pag walang questions, I hope na alam niyo na kung paano sagutan yung activity 1. So the activity 1 is relevant to our discussion today. Okay. So next meeting, we're going to proceed with lesson 2, which is on about annuities. And that will be on next Friday next week. Okay. So hopefully you can still join sa ating discussion kasi ngayon kukunti yung sumali. So please encourage your classmates to join to our discussion. Kaya kailan yung gumagamit ng data, kailan yung mag-save ng data for our discussion for just 2 hours lang naman para mas maintindihan natin yung lessons natin and you can raise your questions and clarifications. Okay? By the way, I am already finished calculating your grades. Kaya kung gusto niyo malaman yung grades niyo, just privately message me. And then if you want to know. Pero pag hindi, okay lang naman. Kasi ibibigay lang din naman yung grade slips ninyo by November 15. Okay? So pag walang questions or clarifications, thank you so much for having you with this discussion, our first meeting for the second quarter. So thank you so much for the participation. So you can now leave.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Ken and Karen.